You're listening to Let's Talk Pricing, your connection to the voices, stories, and strategies shaping the pricing world. Each episode, we go beyond theory into the practical, timely conversations that help you lead with confidence and drive results. Let's start the show.
Hello and very good day, everyone. I'm Kevin Mitchell from Professional Pricing Society, and I get to welcome everyone to our great podcast, Let's Talk Pricing. And today I'm very, very excited because we're going to be talking with Mr. Jeet Mukherjee, who is Chief Strategy Officer at Holden Advisors. And we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the people side and team building and how that interacts with artificial intelligence, with AI, and lots more. But a lot of us in the Professional Pricing Society community already know of Jeet and his accomplishments. He is the author of Pricing with Confidence, which, of course, would highly recommend to everyone. It is a classic book with a lot of great insights. And if you don't already have a copy of that, I would certainly give my highest recommendation for Jeet's book, Pricing with Confidence, because just of the great lessons that it has for people in pricing and revenue management and in related spaces as well. And also, we're very happy here with the PPS team with everything that we have going on coming up in the fall. Obviously, we have the PPS Profitable Conference in Las Vegas, October 21st to 24th. We have PPS Profitable Barcelona from December 2nd to the 5th. And in the fall is when we have two of our major events, which is great for me and my team because we get to connect with old friends, meet new friends, hear from experts like Jeet, and basically this is where we get everyone together. But we're going to start our Let's Talk Pricing podcast with Mr. Jeet Mukherjee. Jeet, I'm always excited to talk with you. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How can I not be? I love being here and I love chatting with you, Kevin. You and the team have done a lot for the pricing community, and it's always a pleasure being a part of it.
Oh, thank you. How nice. Appreciate that. Thank you for your partnership with us as well. And hey, thanks for all that you do for people in and around our space, also with your experience, with your expertise, and with a lot of great learnings there. And Jeet, the PPS team and I are honored that you're going to be joining us in the Profitable Conference in Las Vegas. I can't wait for your session. Your session is entitled How to Build a Bionic Pricing Team. Can you tell us a little bit about how you came around with that title and what exactly you mean by building a bionic pricing team?
Yeah. Obviously, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but I think it's interesting as I was looking at consulting. So we were looking internal first before we looked external, and as we were looking at internal, we realized that we're no aha here, which is we're in the age of AI, we're in the age of transformation through digitization in a lot of different ways. And it also impacts our capabilities and what we focus our attention on. Yes, there's going to be a need to understand AI and capability building around AI, of course. But I think what this allows us, this wave of change that's upon us right now, what it allows us to do is to focus on higher value activities as a pricing team, as a pricing professional, which is what I want to focus our attention on and build capabilities. And what we're finding with our team on a consulting basis is getting to insights faster through the use of tools and mechanisms that's all around us. But then what do we do with those insights? Because at the end of the day, and Kevin, you've been around for a long time, and we should probably chat about some of the olden days and now and compare it, because I would make a bet that even during the days of, some of the older professionals that were around, it's the same issue that we have today, regardless of whether we have AI or not, which is they're scared to make a change on a customer because they're afraid that they're going to lose the customer. So, even if I look at consulting and I look at consultants, AI and other tools, other mechanisms help us get to insights faster. But the capability that we need to build is how do we take those insights and drive change within our organization and make it value add from that perspective to allow us to make the changes that we know we have to make. And that implementation side, that side of actually putting things into place and not making excuses for why we can't do something sometimes, as human nature, because we don't like doing those difficult things sometimes. I think that's the focus. So we'll talk a little bit, in the session about, of course, technology and what we need to do to get to insights faster. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about what does that really mean? Where does that energy now move to that we take away from where it used to be in setting up data and analyzing certain things? If we can get to insights faster, where do we go next is the question.
Quick break. If you're serious about growing your pricing career, you need to hear this. We're heading to Las Vegas this October 21st through 24th for PPS Profitable, pricing's preeminent conference. 4 days of bold strategies, practical tools, and real-world solutions to help you boost margins, lead with confidence, and accelerate your career. Connect with pricing leaders, sharpen your skills, and leave ready to make an immediate impact. And if you're bringing your team, be sure to check out our bundled group rates for even more value. Secure your spot today at pricingsociety.com PPSLV25. All right, back to the show.
And I think what's interesting is, in spite of the radical changes that we're seeing with the tools, the emphasis that we have on data and next steps and speed, central to all of that, as you mentioned, is kind of the human nature, the inertia, our own internal resistance to change, to new things, which is an evolutionary thing that goes back from when we became human. And so it's very interesting to me that in spite of all of the new things that are going on, we still, as you mentioned, still have some of those same challenges around change management, around having to lead our teams, to manage our teams, around having to work with our customers in our marketplaces. But those challenges are still there. But of course, with the new tools, since the information is quicker, the decisions have to be made more quickly as well. And so it kind of amplifies the need for the human gray cells, so to speak, that we all have. So I think it's very interesting how it kind of comes full circle.
Full circle, right?
Yeah, that's fascinating there. So since you obviously are an expert in what AI can do for pricing teams or revenue management teams, and how it is transforming us, how it is becoming this wave of change, as you said, how can we use AI in the most effective and efficient ways? How can we use AI to uncover insights, to plug leaks, to make us better at our jobs?
Yeah, I think, first of all, and you'll remember this, Kevin, back in the day, everybody was talking about quote unquote big data. You can have an Excel spreadsheet, but everybody wanted to use the phrase big data. It's almost like directly correlated to the valuation of your company if you use that phrase. And I feel like we're in that world now, is you have to use AI. If you don't, your company's not going to be valued. Pretty soon we'll be professional pricing society.ai, right? Everything has to have AI in it, or use AI in some way, shape, or form. And I think that shiny syndrome is still there. It's there in spades, but we live in a world of reality, right? And we have to think through, what are we actually using it for? How are we using it? And what's the right way to use it? And for us, what we're doing, and we can only speak to what we're doing within Holden, and then how we're going to take some things to the rest of the market as we help clients realize the value that they're creating through pricing, is we're looking at it one way where we're saying, for security reasons, if you want to build AI bots within your four walls, what does that look like? What does that mean from a infrastructure perspective? What does it mean from a investment perspective, from a security perspective? What does it mean? What can you do? What kind of skill sets now do you have to keep within your four walls to be able to help build it, manage it, maintain it, and all of that good stuff, right? So we're going to have a case study for that, where there's a very important case study. If you deal with a lot of data that's very, very critical, that can't leave your four walls, then you may want to consider doing something like that. But it comes with pros and cons. So what are those pros and cons? And we'll talk through those a little bit. And then you've got the world of AI that says, hey, it's a large language model. We can do analysis that we haven't been able to do before. Now we can do it with greater accuracy. We don't need the skill set. We don't need a Python skill set. We don't need those things. We can kind of just do it ourselves as consultants or as practitioners. You've got that world. And then you've got the world of automation, the agentic AI. You've got the world of, hey, I don't want to touch it. You go ahead and do it as long as it's within these parameters. And that's sort of the third use case. So we're going to kind of walk through those three use cases because I think there's applications for all three of them. For us, and what we are recommending our clients do is start with that second one, which we think is sort of the fastest way to realize value if you don't use currently any large language models. If you want to start using them, that's a great spot to start, where you can do regressions very quickly. You can do correlation studies very quickly. The simple analytics that we help our clients through, from just the basics of pricing and looking for opportunities, now our clients are able to do that, whether they have that skill set or not, at a much rapid fashion. And we can help them, sort of guide them through how they can get to insights quickly. And that second use case becomes extremely important. It's a good starting point.
Understood. And thank you. And yeah, looking forward to hearing much more about those three use cases. But since you mentioned that it's the second one, which is a good first step for a lot of our people out there, using the LLMs, using the large language models to really get information more quickly, to do a lot of the legwork with having the guide rails in place, of course. How can teams see the benefit of that? What does this mean to pricing managers as they get better at using large language models, at using the AI tools? What kind of results can we expect them to see when they do this?
Yeah, one of the toughest things in analytics, as you know very well, Kevin, is cleaning and staging of the data. So just a simple being able to find data in your infrastructure that's going to be meaningful. That's the first step. Being able to extract that data, bring it over, clean it, stage it, put it together with other pieces of data that's everywhere. This is all internal. Then you may want to bring in market data that's external and add it to that data set. That process takes so much time right now. It takes a lot of labor. Depends on how fragmented things are. It could take you weeks, months, in some cases a year or more, depending on how ugly that data set looks like. And now you're talking about being able to use AI to be able to first locate data that would help you, that makes sense, and then bring it over, clean it, and stage it. So the first layer that we're seeing that we're getting a lot of benefits from is just the data operations of things. That's the first layer of value that we're getting, which is tremendous, where sometimes it would take consultants weeks, 3-4 weeks, is now taking them a week and a half to do. And we're not the best barometer for that value because we're also learning about the data because we're outsiders going into a client environment, right? But if you're already in your environment, that could be even quicker for you. So now you've got the ability to do your data ops at a much rapid fashion, and then the accuracy is higher because you're able to identify data elements that is going to fit well within what you're trying to do as an outcome. The second piece is the analysis itself, where now you focus on outcomes. What are you looking for? What do you want to do? Instead of trying to figure out what kind of analysis can I run and how will this analysis look and how do I justify running this analysis versus that analysis, all of that is taken out. Now you can focus on outcomes. I'm looking for correlation. I'm looking to see what affects my margin. I'm looking to see that. So that natural language processing, that ability to speak to an agent and be able to have the agent run what is accurate and be able to give you and justify the outputs and tell you how it came to those outputs. Those are all, you're saving weeks, if not months at that point on the analysis part. And now it's much more effective when you take that to your organization.
This October 21st through 24th, PPS Profitable takes over Las Vegas. It's 4 days packed with cutting-edge strategies, hands-on workshops, and real-world insights to help you lead pricing with confidence and deliver measurable results. You'll connect with top pricing leaders from around the world, build powerful peer networks, and walk away with tools you can put to work the very next day. Learn more and reserve your spot at pricingsociety.com/ppslv25. Now, let's get back into the conversation.
We will remember that we can improve data operations, we can improve our accuracy and our speed there with AI tools, but also we can use the LLM, the large language model, to focus on our outcomes desired, the correlations that we're looking for, our KPIs. Basically, we can have everything kind of wrapped up where we can get everything moving in the right direction here.
Yeah, and
So,
it can, sorry, real one quick thing, Kevin,
yeah, of course.
it's also, it's the outcome, and it's also a problem statement. So if you have a problem statement that you're struggling with, your organization struggling with, it does a good job of kind of asking questions and getting down to root sort of analyses. The thing I will tell you in this environment that we didn't touch on is it's important to know what your capabilities are to build these agents, because your capability may not be there to build it. You may want to use a third party to build it, or you may want to use another player to use their agents. So ChatGPT, we know, has some capabilities to do that. We have other large language models that have the ability to do that. So you can kind of use that instead of building your own that's there. I know some of our partners, software partners, are building their own and allowing us to use it. So PriceFX is a good example of that, where they're building their agents and they're releasing that, which I think they've done a really good job of. So you don't have to be an expert to build these things. You have to be an expert of knowing what you need. And then I think there are options that are out there that is best for you in that environment.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, as you mentioned, that there are, depending on your company, your bandwidth, your operations, and your culture, there are a lot of different ways that you can do this. It can be an internally developed thing. It can be an off-the-shelf thing. It can be part of a pricing optimization software package, as you mentioned. So there are a lot of different ways to approach this. And of course, this is one where we are not able to ask AI, which one should I do? That's going to have to be an internal decision. That's going to have to be a management decision with a lot of variables in there to pick the best tool for your organization and for your needs there. And another question for you, Jeet, is, of course, we as pricing people know that we can be seen as kind of an ivory tower to the people who do the very difficult jobs of sales out on the street, and for other departments, be it operations, finance, marketing, product management, what have you there. So how can we build this Bionic team to also foster better relations with sales, with marketing, with finance, with other departments, internal partners that we have to work with? Because we know as pricing people, it is our job to kind of be at the nexus there and to be in close touch with a lot of different parties within our own organization. Sometimes those relationships might have a modicum of headbutting, some agency issues and things like that as well. So in what ways can this Bionic pricing team help us to make those relationships better, to explain what's going on kind of behind the scenes from our non-ivory tower, since we know the truth there?
Yeah. I think that's the $1 million question that it seems like it's always there. It's with AI or without AI. It's just that's a big question. And one of the biggest things we find, especially when we work with our clients, is if the client has a good, strong pricing person who is a good influencer. They don't have to be the smartest person in the world that knows everything and that can do large language models by himself and writing Python codes and at night and influencing everybody. But it's amazing that people think that they need to be a certain way, so they kind of try to behave that way. But the biggest attribute that we see is really that influence piece. Pricing has always been cross-functional. And the biggest attribute you can have as a strong pricing professional is your ability to influence. And that goes for a lot of other roles as well. But pricing is extremely important, that you have to know how to influence a salesperson, how to influence finance, how to influence marketing, how to influence, you name it, fill in the blank.
Mhm.
And if you're not able to do that, I don't care how smart you are, how capable you are, how many analytics you can run. It's just you're not going to be as successful. And I think with AI, that attribute becomes even more important because now what you can do is I've seen some folks focus on KPIs that are important to finance and not bring in other KPIs, just focus on those. Now you've got this ability to have data at your fingertips and be able to look at data in different ways and the outputs in different ways to influence different groups and what they care about. So the question becomes, what does finance care about? What does sales care about? Sales is in a very difficult situation, as an example, as we all know. They are tasked with raising prices, for example. They're tasked with holding their line. They're tasked with very difficult negotiation. So the question is, do they have everything that they need to be successful in those sales scenarios? What do they need? Now you're able to get them what they need at faster rates than ever before. So now you have to really focus in on your sort of characteristic of, can I understand Kevin as a salesperson, what he needs to be successful, and how fast can I give Kevin all of that so he can be successful, then the whole organization can be successful. I think those are the attributes that really now we can focus on after we get through this sort of development of the AI and development of the outputs that we know are going to be necessary for us to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we know, good pricing people have to speak all of these different languages and deal with all of these different parties in a matter that they can understand. And the example that we always talk about is you cannot talk with a 25-year veteran salesperson the same way that you might talk to a new finance MBA.
That's
Those are
right.
different languages. And of course, with senior management, you have to have your elevator pitch, your 30-second, 1 minute speech on this is everything that we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And that's got to be down pat. So that's a different language that we'd have to speak to a
Yeah.
different group. But I think the good news in all of this, Jeet, is that we as pricing professionals, we as revenue managers, kind of it's another full circle example where this probably for a lot of us has been part of our job for a long time to deal with all of these parties. But the new tools, the agentic AI, the LLMs, all of these other things essentially make those transactions that much more quick, that much more fruitful, hopefully, and really gives us some quicker, better insights there if we're using the tools properly. So, really, it is a case where this might be a little eye opening. And of course, with human nature being human nature, it might be a little concerning for a lot of pricing people. But then again, this is something that a lot of us have been doing in a different way with different tools for a long time as well. So I think that that's interesting there. And of course, with self-preservation being first on our Maslow hierarchy, so to speak, I know that I hear a wide variety of thinking about what AI means for us as the human beings, as the practitioners, as the
Mhm.
experts in this space. I would say that that varies from this is going to be a tool, much in the same way that 100 years ago a typewriter was a tool, or a calculator, or the PC, or the internet. It's just that and expanding on that. And that probably goes all the way to the other end to Skynet and the Terminator movies, where it's going to take over and do its own thing. So, what are your thoughts about that for pricing practitioners, for revenue
Yeah.
managers, as
Yeah.
these tools are coming in? Should we be worried about AI replacing human judgment, about replacing human beings here?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's one of the most fascinating questions, and I absolutely love chatting about it because there are, in my head, I kind of go through nodes, and there's different sort of branches of the tree that you can imagine as we kind of go through this journey. First of all, the thing that I tell myself all the time is we're so early to this change, to this sort of market life cycle. We're not at the mature level. We're still very early, so we don't know what's going to happen, right? We can try to, go through the nodes and try to predict, and of course, but we don't know. It's very early, so it's a perfect time for people to jump in. So let's talk a little bit about what I think would be some of the negative consequences, which I do think there will be job losses. There's going to be job losses more in some industries than others. I think consulting is going to go through some changes. I think we're already seeing it. I think a lot of consulting companies are going through layoffs and things like that. So there's certain types of skill set that it's going to automate, especially if you talk about agentic, right? Agentic, when your automation of process flows and decision making, you're outsourcing that to a logic or a algorithm. You're not going to need a person to do that, at a desk. It's just, you don't. So therefore, you will lose that job. You may not want to lose that person. So there's a difference between a job loss and losing a person, and because I truly believe that as we solve for problems, there are always other problems that pop up. As we've been through the revolution of the internet, the evolution of the internet, there's some issues that the internet caused that we never even could think about. So using our sort of paradigm of what's right and wrong and applying it to AI, that's not really correct because you don't know where it's going to go. So we don't know what other issues it's going to create, what opportunities it's going to create. And we also don't know what other problems we can actually solve for as AI gets better. So we only know what we can solve for now, given what our human sort of logic allows us to think through. But I think in the future, we'll be able to solve for problems that we can't even think of right now because of AI. So I think that's the positive side. So if anybody feels like their job is threatened or their role is threatened, what have you, I think there's that thought process that is like that I tell my 23 and 21-year-old, which is think about things that we aren't thinking about, right? That's the key is how do you solve a problem that we're not even thinking about? Because now you have the ability to do so at a much faster rate. You have the ability to create companies at a faster rate and solve these problems. So the good side is really quite high. So the negative side is, yes, there will be job loss, but on the other side, there will be huge amounts of growth because we're going to be able to solve problems that we just don't know of yet. So that's the positive side of things. And the other thing that, I think is important that we just talked about, which is the human ability to make change is still a problem. That's still the limiting factor here. So I don't care how many processes you put in front. I don't care what you do. At the end of the day, somebody's got to buy that good and somebody's going to have to pay for that. It has to happen in a certain way. You're going to have to consume in some way, shape, or form. The laws of that role is not going to change, those roles and those fundamental facts. So I think we can be safe to assume that we can automate up to a certain point, and after that certain point, you still need humans to be able to take it that last bit of the transaction, and that's the piece that I think there's going to be a lot of value in it for organizations as we move forward.
Understood. So there will be job shifts,
Yeah,
jobs that we think of that exist now where your job's to do A, B, and C. That may go away. Hopefully, the people will not go away, and the new job will be something that shifts to D, E, and F or X, Y,
yeah,
and Z or something like that. So can certainly understand about the job shifts. But of course, that's something that has happened all
that's
of the
right.
time
That's
in
right.
different ways. With every new
Yeah,
technological mini step, we see
yeah,
that
yeah.
happening.
It
The
is,
one
by the
is
way, it is an incredible opportunities for young professionals. So if you're a young professional coming out, now I guess I'm a dinosaur, right? So if you understand and know and you know how to apply this to make, create value and make changes to organization, you might be able to leapfrog these dinosaurs like myself and get on top, right? Because you have that capability, you know how to use it at a faster rate, better way, what have you. So it creates a unique opportunity for young professionals coming in to have a skill set, understand, and have the know-how to be able to leapfrog some of the dinosaurs that don't want to change.
understood. Yeah, and that's one of those great opportunities that you talked about that will come around.
Yeah,
But obviously, we will see that people who understand and who are good at using these tools certainly will have a big leg up, will be able to make their own path in a lot of organizations, and will have these great opportunities for their future to come there. So would you say that that is one of the things that we're going to see as pricing teams develop? Is it going to be kind of this bionic model, as you talk about, where the people who become most attractive for these types of jobs will be the people who can take that human intellect, that need for change management, be able to use the tools in the best way and move
That's
forward
right.
that way. Is that an example of your Bionic team there?
That's right. That's right. I think what we'll see in the short term is a big shift to everybody working on AI or doing AI, something. It's going to get very technical. And then people are going to realize, oh, shoot, we've gotten too technical and we're not driving change in the organization. Then the pendulum's going to start swinging back to the other side. And it's going to probably land on exactly what you said, which is, look, we need to understand the technical components of it. We need to get to insights faster, but we need that business acumen, that person that knows how to influence and drive change through the organization to actually make this change or price increase or what have you actually stick within our four walls. That's still a skill set that's going to be necessary.
So we kind of loop back to pricing people being both the artists and the scientists.
That's right. It's gonna be a full circle. And it's
That's very interesting.
and I just don't think, honestly, and maybe I'm a pessimist, Kevin, and we've talked about this before, which is I don't see the world of I've already made my decision. Now make the math work so my decision feels more right.
Right.
I don't see that quite changing so quickly. So yeah,
Yes.
you're going to see the AI output, and some executive is going to go, can you rerun that, a little bit
Right.
different? I want to see it from this angle because it's not picking up on something.
Yes. Yeah, the example I remember from, I think it was a statistics textbook that I had, we'll say a few decades ago. It says that sometimes we use new tools in statistics the way that a drunk person uses a light pole. You don't use it for illumination, you use it for support. You're looking to support your decision
That's
instead
right.
of find out something new and
That's
to get
right.
illuminated there.
That's
So
right.
yeah, hopefully we'll use the tools in the right way for illumination and not support of something that we already decided.
That's right. That bias is tough to get past sometimes as humans.
That is very tough. Human beings are still going to be human beings in that way, and of course, hey, that's why change management is so critical
Yeah.
to all of this.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jeet, we are very, very much looking forward to seeing you at PPS Profitable in Las Vegas, hearing more about how to build a bionic pricing team. And of course, I would highly recommend that everyone pick up Pricing with Confidence if you have not done so already. And you can connect with Jeet, I'm sure, on LinkedIn, or you can look for Holden Advisors and you will find him there. For information from the PPS team and me, of course, you can check pricingsociety.com about our online training, about our upcoming events, about our membership service certification, and much, much more. But please reach out to me if you have any questions. Connect with Jeet, of course, if you have any questions or if you want more insights about what we've been talking about today. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this edition of the Let's Talk Pricing podcast. And Jeet, thank you so much. Always good to see you. Looking forward to seeing you again as well, sir.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Had a
All right.
blast.
So thank you again to Mr. Jeet Mukherjee. Thanks to the PPS team. And we will hope to see you at another edition of the Let's Talk Pricing podcast coming soon.